Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. Today's episode is going to be on should you carry climbing rope with you on your outdoor adventures? So now the answer to that is a pretty loose, it's up to you. And that means if you're obviously if you're climbing, you're going to have climbing rope with you, right? Obviously, if you're going to do something that involves using rope, you're going to have it. But should you carry it with you for emergency purposes? That's the question. And the answer to that is, again, depends on how much weight you want to add to the gear you're already carrying in. Climbing rope, a harness, carabiners, a descender, or a belay device all adds weight to your gear that you're already humping in. So now you're carrying rope, for example, carrying rope that's pretty heavy, right? It's probably about another 5 pounds of extra weight. And do you want to deal with that, right? Do you want to carry the 5 pounds of extra weight? Now, me personally, if I'm going somewhere where I'm walking alongside of a cliff for a long period of time, I might carry the extra 5 pounds with me just in case I end up in a shitty situation, right? But that's me. If somebody falls off, I'm going to try to get to them. I might not necessarily try to get them out of there because it depends on the severity of their injury, whether or not I'm going to move them or leave them there and wait for the professionals to get there, which are usually the mountain rescue guys. Is it good to have this stuff on you? Of course it is. But is it necessary? Again, that is entirely up to you. I don't really think it's necessary, but I still carry it sometimes. I don't carry it all the times. If I'm walking, let's say up a mountain, but it just happens to be flat terrain all the way up, I'm not taking the rope with me. But I'm walking along a cliffside to get to the top of a mountain, and the chances of falling off are pretty high. I'm going to have this rope with me. And it might not be just for me, it might be for someone that might fall off, and I can get to them. Or vice versa. I fall off and my bag stays behind and they can get to me. Again, it all depends. If the one thing is, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have a clue as to what you're doing with ropes, you don't know how to tie knots, you don't know how to pick a good anchor point, don't bother carrying this stuff. Don't even entertain it until you take a professional course by professionals to deal with this stuff. Now, the only reason why I know about descending is because of my job. I know enough about ropes because I've done climbing when I was younger, and then at my job, we go over this periodically. We go over knots periodically as well. So I'm actually using this for my photography channel when I go out and descend into I would call it like, I guess, a ravine or a canyon, a small canyon, where I'm looking to get a shot of this waterfall that I can't get my drones to because of the updraft, right? Which is a discussion for another time. On my photography channel, I will get more into that. But for the sake of emergencies on your outdoor adventures, again, if you want to sacrifice the weight, it is good. That's up to you. But remember, you're going to have to get a harness, right? This is known as a Weanas harness. I'll have the name of it now. This is a fairly decent harness. It's not an everyday use like a lot of rock climbers or professional rock climbers. I don't think they'd be caught dead with something like this, right? This is a static rope by Singing Rock. It's the R44. There's a difference between dynamic and static rope. If you're descending, you want static rope, not dynamic. Dynamic rope is more for climbing, so that if you fall, it takes the force, the dynamic rope takes the force out of your fall without snapping it back into as if you fell with dynamic rope. Dynamic rope is really tough and stiff, and there's no give when you fall. With dynamic rope, there's give, and it takes the force out of your fall. So if you're descending or you're looking at by descending rope, make sure it's static, not dynamic. The harness, like I said, it all depends. The harness is going to hold you in regardless. You can go with a 4-point harness if you want to be really safe, but this harness is good enough. But I got a figure 8 descender with a couple of carabiners. You have to be careful with carabiners. You got to make sure the carabiner has a rating on it. And the rating on a carabiner would normally be here, opposite the gate. KN. KN means kilonewton, right? Kilonewton is the measurement of, if I'm not mistaken, force that the carabiner can take. Meaning if you fall, that's the amount of force that it's able to take, your weight plus whatever force you generate from falling, right? So this has a KN means kilonewton, right? And 1 kilonewton is 225 pounds. This carabiner I'm holding right here is 28 kilonewtons, right? So 28 times 225 pounds is, I'll put the answer at the bottom right here. That's the kind of carabiners you want. You don't want those cheapo carabiners you see in the stores. They will snap just by you leaning on it the wrong way. Nevertheless, never mind falling with it and it just disintegrating altogether, right? So I'm only doing this video because I've seen people with climbing rope and they carry climbing rope and they have no idea what they're doing with this rope. I don't know if they watched the movie and they saw guys with backpacks and rope and thought it was a good idea. Not even sure, because I've asked a couple of people, what are you doing with that rope? And they were like, oh, just in case we get in an emergency. Well, I was like, and then what? What do you want to do? You want to lift the patient out of there? They're like, yeah. I said, well, you can't do that, right? The severity of the injury is going to dictate whether or not you're pulling them out or you're leaving them there, right? If they complain of neck, back, and leg pain, leave them alone. Don't touch them. If you want to descend down there to them and keep them comfortable till help comes, by all means. If it's just you, obviously you're going to have to run and get help and you're going to have to leave them there. But if you're in a group, one of you can descend down to keep them comfortable, while the one who's going to descend down there needs to know what he's doing. I have to stress that. He needs to know exactly what he's doing with his gear to go down there and either keep the person uncomfortable, stop them from bleeding, or stabilize whatever injuries they have going on. Don't send the person who has no medical skills and doesn't know what they're doing with this rope down there. That's obviously stupid. That's the person you send for help. If you're going to go keep them comfortable, by all means go down there and keep them comfortable, but also don't get in the way, right? If the ledge is yay small and they happen to hit that ledge, climbing down there to keep them comfortable and then help coming will only delay the process, because now you have to come up and then help has to come down because the ledge is so small. So you have to keep that in mind, right? There's a lot of variables with climbing, helping people that fall down somewhere, right? Whether it's a sinkhole or off a cliff onto a ledge, a lot of variables you have to consider. So hopefully a lot of this made sense. Again, if you're going to entertain this, you have to take a class. You have to know what you're doing before you tie yourself up and possibly make a mistake and take the express, right? Which is you don't tie the right knot and off you go, right? So keep that in mind before you entertain this. You have to have the knowledge to know what you're doing, and you should take a certified course, not just a YouTube channel. YouTube channels are great, especially for refreshers if you're trying to remember what you need to do, but take a certified course if you're looking to use this as an emergency device. Other than that, if I got anything wrong or I missed something, please leave a comment in the comment section below. This is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. You can like and subscribe to this channel. You can also like and subscribe to my urban channel. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. And other than that, thank you for watching. Oh, wait. And if you are into photography, I am going to do this on my photography channel when I finally rappel into that canyon kind of deal for that waterfall shot. So you can follow me on the Angry Lensman channel as well. All right, guys, thank you for watching.